Now, the NCP chief Sharad Pawar is likely to decline the offer to contest the presidential elections even if the opposition puts up a consensus candidate and proposes his name. Priyanshi, you do know the run-up to that presidential elections and many names being thrown up, but lately it's Sharad Pawar.
And Sharad Pawar, as you said, has denied that he'll be standing up. But sources say the NCP chief has told senior NCP leaders that he's not in the race. And this he said at a meeting at his residence yesterday.
However, there have been no formal denial as far as Sharad Pawar is concerned on the Congress offer to nominate him for that presidential elections. Do remember, we are in fact going to see that change of guard as far as the president is concerned before the 25th of July. And that's what's going to happen. The presidential elections are going to be taking place in July.
Right.
This year, that's what we are expecting. And many names, like we mentioned, are in the running for that race. But it was Sharad Pawar in the last 24 hours, that name where even the opposition seemed to have formed a consensus on.
And we might be seeing that name being ticked off. And it's, in fact, a very interesting fight that's going to come up for the BJP. The candidate who crosses 50% votes will win. And the NDA is currently around 13,000 votes away from its majority mark. Let's go across to Saurabh to understand this even more. Saurabh, an important announcement that's coming up from Sharad Pawar, but also important to note that it's not an official confirmation. So is there a chance that this decision could go back? Or do you think it's set in stone?
Well, nothing is set in stone in politics. And of course,
right,
if the opposition can gather enough votes to, inch close or sniff a victory in the presidential election, then you might see Mr. Pawar change his mind. But at the moment, the assessment of the Nationalist Congress Party, which is Mr. Sharad Pawar's party, is that the opposition does not have the numbers to win the presidential elections or come close to winning. And that itself is the primary reason for which Mr. Pawar is not inclined to contest, which is why what we're being given to understand, in fact, yesterday there was a meeting and we reached out to the NCP several times, to see if there would be a comment, but there was no comment officially. None of the leaders who attended that meeting commented. But it seems that at that meeting, which was held with the newly elected Rajya Sabha member from the NCP, Mr. Praful Patel, and several other top NCP leaders, Mr. Pawar told them that he's not inclined to contest and he's not in the race. Is this set in stone? No. The fact is that if the opposition can garner the numbers, Mr. Pawar might reconsider. But again, in the absence of a formal denial from Mr. Pawar that he's opting out of the race, his name very much remains one of the opposition names, given that the Congress has openly or been open to, supporting him as a consensus candidate. But the NCP might prop up another name, and that name also could be that of, Ghulam Nabi Azad. But these are all speculative at this moment. The names are all speculative.
Right. So are you hearing any other murmurs regarding anybody else in the running to the Raisena Hill?
No, not really. I mean, at this point, nobody knows who the BJP's candidate is going to be. And of course, there is quite a lot of, support for Mr. Pawar within opposition ranks. For example, several opposition leaders are agreeable to, projecting Mr. Pawar as a consensus opposition candidate, including the Congress party. But at this point, what is important to note is Mr. Pawar himself is not keen, and he's not keen because he doesn't see the numbers with the opposition. Right. If there is a change in the numbers, for example, a party like the BJD, the Biju Janata Dal, which the BJP counts on in situations like these, because they are equidistant, they say, from both camps, the Congress and the BJP, then if the BJD is with the opposition side, then of course you could see some sort of shift in numbers. But at this point, there's not a shift in numbers. The BJP clearly has the numbers, for its candidate, or it's inching towards those numbers towards its candidate, which is why the NCP and Mr. Pawar is a very shrewd politician with a lot of political acumen. He's not going to contest a losing battle. So only if there is a chance that the opposition can come close to victory or sniff a victory in the presidential elections will Mr. Pawar actually contest. That is what the NCP's position is, though it's not been officially said by anyone, and there's been no official denial from Mr. Pawar.